First time I met Jim Holderman was over 30 years ago, and we were assistant coaching of our sons in the soccer team, AYSO soccer team out in LaGrange area. So that's how we met.
I had a chance to get to know him when he was a young, green attorney right out of law school. We both found ourselves in the United States Attorney's Office as trial lawyers. And at that time, then U.S. Attorney Jim Thompson assigned Jim and I and some other lawyers to be on a trial team that turned out to be called the United States versus Brash case, which was a very challenging case in which 23 Chicago police officers were charged with serious acts of public corruption here in Chicago. And I had the opportunity to work with Jim when he was just a young lawyer.
The first time I met him was at a bar in Champaign. I was a bartender down there during law school, and him and his wife was there, had been teaching a course down there during spring break. It's an IP trial advocacy course.
I met Judge Holderman in the summer of 1977 when I was an intern in the U.S. Attorney's Office. That was between my second and third year of law school, and I was assigned to do a research assignment for him. He was busy trying a series of cases against Illinois state legislators who'd been taking bribes from road paving contractors. And I don't remember what the point of law was, but I was very excited to be working on the case and working with Jim.
I'm sorry, I was reading a fascinating article in here. Yeah, I met Judge Holderman in 1973 when we were both assistant United States attorneys, and we worked together there for about 4 or 5 years, and I went into private practice for myself, and he started at a law firm and then became a judge. Who knew?
Well, I can't really recall the first time I met Chief Judge Holderman, but I do vividly recall the times that I spent most time with him, and that was in connection with the formation of the Richard Lynn American Inn of Court.
He's been a judge for most of the time I've known him. But when we first met, he was a lawyer. We didn't have cases against each other. I just knew of him as a good lawyer, first as a prosecutor and then as a lawyer at Sun and Shine. He was always a good lawyer, and he still is a good lawyer. So I see him as a lawyer, judge, and most importantly as a friend.
He was about as an impressive of a young lawyer as anyone that I've encountered in my career. And you know what? Those same traits, those skills, his brilliance, his commitment, his hard work, his talent, those have all carried forward in my judgment in his many years as a United States District Court judge here in Chicago.
He just seemed like a very warm person. He was incredibly friendly, and getting to meet him then later encouraged me to apply for a clerkship with him.
My first impression of Chief Judge Holderman was that he was a gentleman. I met him the first time at, I think it was the Union League Club.
Probably.
Yeah, it was a Richard Lynn American Inn of Court event. And he was just kind and welcoming, and I think I got a hug. The first thing from that man instead of a handshake.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, he's a sweetheart.
Back in 1988, I was a prosecutor down in Champaign County. I happened to have been president of the Champaign County Bar that year. I was invited to a dinner that the U of I Law School was having, and they were honoring 3 judges. And one of the 3 judges they were honoring was Jim Holderman. I had asked my boss, the state's attorney of Champaign County, who was actually a law school classmate of Jim's, if he wanted to go to this dinner with me. And it was an election year, and he said, no, I can't eat one more rubber chicken dinner and peas. So everybody said, but hey, maybe you would like to sit with my friend Jim Holderman. And I'm like, okay, federal judge, they're not the most exciting people in the bunch, let's face it, okay? I went to the mock trial, or the moot court that he was judging that afternoon, and I sat in the audience to see what he looked like. And, he was a 40-year-old, balding, slightly overweight guy who seemed kind of strict on the bench. And I was like, this is going to be one of those dinners. So I walked him out to his car, and, we shook hands, and, and then he's the usual, well, if you're ever in Chicago, stop by, yeah. Talk a little more, shake hands. Talk a little more, shake hands. Then he pulls the old, I need gas. Do you know where there's a gas station? And I totally fell for this, and I'm explaining to him, and he goes, oh, that's so complicated. Would you mind coming with me to show me the gas station? And of course, I'm not thinking, the man went to school here for 4 years undergrad and 3 years law school, right? I'm going, oh God, poor man, doesn't know where the gas station is. So we go over to the gas station, we fill his car up, blah, 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 talking, brings me back to my car, we say goodbye again, shake hands again. I think there were a total of 7 shaking of the hands that night. There was no kiss. So off he goes, and I'm kind of thinking, wow, The next day, my girlfriend, who's a court reporter for the presiding judge, she and her husband had been at the dinner too. She always came over to check out my dates, see what they were like. And I said to her, you never came over last night, why not? And she goes, oh, I took one look at that guy and said, loser. And I said, well, that's a problem because I just met the man I'm going to marry. And we were married a year later.
He is so passionate about his children and about, just everything he does. There's no halfway with Jim Holderman. It's all in.
We're very blessed to have 4 children between us. Jim has 2 sons, James III and Bill. He's a pretty incredible father. And I have 2 daughters, Ashley and Whitney. Jim, though, however, has frankly been a father, certainly to both of my girls, in addition to his 2 boys. And we're very lucky now that, except for Bill, everybody now is kind of back here in the Chicago area.
Their relationship is so strong and so respectful.
We have 2 grandchildren, Quinn, who is 3.5, and Henry is 1.5, and we love being able to spend time with them. They're out in Santa Monica, so frankly we don't get as much time as we would like, but that certainly is a new passion.
Chief Judge Holderman is one of those judges who picks it up very quickly, figures out where the leverage points are, and gets right to the core of the case quickly.
He's not dealing with factual and legal issues at 6,000 feet. He gets down and deals with them at 6 feet. He wants to make sure that he's mastered and understands exactly what the issues are before he rules, and he digs into details.
I think the reputation of him as a trial judge is that you're going to get a fair shot. He's smart. He's very much devoted to the jury, so you need to understand that when you try and case in front of him, and you be prepared.
When counsel come before Judge Holderman, they know that they have to have answers to the questions, they have to be prepared, and he has definitely set a high bar, I think, for the counsel.
He is a man of conviction. He has the courage to call the cases the way he sees them, even though under certain circumstances it may not be in his personal interest to make that call.
The trial lawyers tend to conform their behavior to the rules because you don't want to alienate the jury by looking like you're at odds with the judge.
That's what lawyers do. They press the limits, and the main job of trial judges is to keep them on the reservation. It's a constant challenge. He's very good at it.
Lawyers actually feel very, very comfortable talking to him. It's a good interchange, and I think that is very important, not only as a chief judge, but really as a judge, where people can actually relate to you, and at the same time, you can respect each other when you're in the courtroom.
I think the most challenging thing for a federal judge is to try to find the truth, try to find the fair, correct, just answer to a question presented. And Chief Judge Holderman is certainly qualified and does that exceptionally well. He's prepared, he's diligent, he's careful. He's the consummate judge. He listens and he tries to do what is right.
He calls it the way he sees them, and he sticks by it, and he has the courage of his convictions, and that makes him a truly independent judge, and that's what we want on the bench. That's very important.
They're all smart, they're all hardworking, but the most important thing is for the judge to be independent, and that's what he is, and we credit him with that.
Jim was quite an athlete in high school and played basketball, but was the quarterback of the high school football team at Morris. And in fact, he was recruited by the University of Illinois and given a scholarship to play football. He was actually recruited by Dick Butkus, which was, of course, wonderful. And he had accepted and was going to go to U of I on a football scholarship. However, the second to the last game of his senior year, he got kicked in the head and suffered a severe concussion, which resulted in brain damage. And he became a Petit-Mal epilep and had to take seizure medication for quite some time.
The best thing about his career, I guess, was that he got a concussion when he was in high school, so he did not play college football, so he could spend more time studying and less time getting another concussion, which would have not helped his career. His next best thing that happened to him was the heart attack, because it has given him something to talk about. Let's be honest.
Frankly, his rehabilitation and his recuperation from that heart attack, again, I think is sort of one of his signature aspects of his life. He worked really hard to get back and to be the very robust, energetic person that he is today. So he has certain dietary restrictions. No red meat, no cream, no mayonnaise, no eggs, no fat, no fried foods, etc.
It's a struggle to go to eat with him, because we have to go through this routine with every waiter and the chef. The chef comes out and says, I can't cook like this. He'll say, do your best, and then the chef will go back swearing. And we think that the chef then does things in all of our plates that we wouldn't want to see. But that's what he does, because he antagonizes all these people just because he wants to live. He's a very selfish person in that regard.
I was surprised at how much time and effort and commitment he put into just the chief judge responsibilities, just outside of his civil and criminal docket.
It takes a lot of extra time to be the chief judge. You not only have your judicial duties and your administrative duties, but you also have the duties of the chief judge to attend various events as a representative of the United States District Court for the Northern District of Illinois.
You see him all over in the legal community. He reaches out to lawyers, he reaches out to the community.
Never shirks from any of those duties, attends all of the events that he could possibly can attend.
To appreciate what actually is necessary for us to continue to provide justice in this country.
He's the head of security for the building. He was basically the head of construction. They built the Rockford Courthouse on his watch. They did numerous construction projects to the courthouse at 219. So he's had to wear a lot of different hats during his chief. So I know when he steps down July 1, 2013, it'll be sort of a bittersweet moment in a way for him. He has enjoyed being chief, but it also takes a huge amount of energy, frankly, to juggle all those balls that he's been juggling. So I know that there's a piece of him that is ready, frankly, to step down and just go back to regular judging and hopefully even doing more in the intellectual property field. The other thing Jim enjoys is playing golf. And he has played golf with a number of people in this room.
Jim Filio, Scott Turow, the chief, and I are our regular foursome, and we play home and home. So that means we'll play at least 4 times a year, probably 5 times a year, because I have the Hofer Invitational that I host at Cog Hill.
None of us are very good. Roy Hofer's clearly the best, but the other 3 of us take turns being who's worse. But we have a good time. We have a very good time.
You do get to know people playing golf with them, and you see them when they're put out. You see them when they're happy with themselves. You compete with them. You're teammates with them. It's a great way to get to know somebody, and the 4 of us clearly respect each other.
Like in his judging, he's straight and down the middle. In his golf, it's far more random.
It's not good. It's not good at all. On the other hand, he doesn't take his game too seriously. So that if he has a bad shot, he doesn't get mad. He's always keeps his cool when he's playing golf. And so he's a pleasure to play with, even when he's not playing well. Some of us are, we don't handle it as well as he handles a bad day on the golf course.
It's been a terrific opportunity for us to keep in touch outside of any professional concerns and just enjoy each other's company in our friendship. And it allows the friendship to grow, and it's really cool.
There's no rule violations with Holderman, so, or anybody else in the foursome, as far as I know.
Ethics and honesty and integrity is definitely there.
I've seen an occasional foot wedge being played, but at least everybody knows he cheats. Is that fair? So I guess that's still sort of integrity, right? If everybody knows that you're cheating, but all those guys cheat a little.
We all struggle, let's be honest, but he's big. He hits the ball hard. He tries very hard and hits the ball very hard, and the ball goes a long way.
He can hit the ball so far because one of his training techniques, I don't know if he's ever said this, is he'll swing a sledgehammer in his basement to get his swing going, and then he comes out here and that poor little golf ball doesn't have a chance. Now, on the other side, it doesn't always go straight, but when he connects and it goes straight, it goes far.
He can be not so good, but there are also moments when he's completely on his game. So I have never had a hole-in-one.
I've never seen a hole-in-one, personally, any foursome, and I clearly haven't come close. But.
I don't know about that story. I mean, I don't believe it, but I'd have to say, oh, great, that's great.
I may have heard that story once or twice, yes.
I was in the foursome playing with him when he got the hole-in-one. We were playing at Carnoustie in Scotland. We did not see the ball go in, but the foursome ahead of us, which were four of our guys that were on the same trip, they saw the ball actually go in. They were the ones that yelled, "It went in! It went in!" And so then we knew that the judge had a hole-in-one, but we didn't see it go in.
We had two bald guys on our trip, and the big bald guy teed off and followed his flight, the ball, landed on the green, bounced a few times, rolled into the hole. So yes, it happened.
The caddy was just amazed, and I think Royer, one of the other guys in the foursome, said, "Well, so what do you do when a guy gets a hole-in-one?" Because a lot of golf courses, make a big deal about it. He goes, "I don't know, I've never seen this before." So his hole-in-one at Carnoustie. And believe it or not, even though, no offense, my husband is not a great golfer, and I think he'll admit that was his second hole-in-one. He got a hole-in-one out at our home in PGA West. I mean, unbelievable. So, but what do they say? Even a blind squirrel occasionally finds a nut.
Let's face it. Getting a hole-in-one is a very fortuitous event, and it very seldom comes to a golfer. One hole-in-one in one's lifetime is in itself quite a lucky accomplishment. So needless to say, he was very happy. And we were happy for him, too. Very happy for him. Particularly with the golf game that he has.
It was a thrill. I mean, we were playing Carnoustie, which is a British Open course and one of the toughest British Open courses. And so to get a hole-in-one at a place like that, it was thrilling to watch. And it was great. It was the most exciting 15 seconds I've had on a golf course.
We've socialized often with the judge, mostly, of course, because of Paula, because she's pleasant and has a great personality.
Paula's a lot of fun, and I love to get to see the judge and Paula interact together. They really have the type of relationship that I feel like if I could have 1/3 of the love that they have for each other, I would be incredibly lucky.
The thing about the Holdermans is they love everything. They love good food, they love good wine, they love good conversation, they love being with friends. I mean, really, they're just very loving people.
They are a lovely couple that are obviously very much in love with one another. They just seem to be peas in a pod.
You know, they're one of my favorite couples, and they're terrific with one another, full of admiration for one another, incredibly supportive at all times.
And I think one of my favorite things about the Holdermans is their ability to play spouse to each other when it's important. When Chief Judge Holderman is being a judge, Paula is the perfect spouse. And when Paula is being the attorney, Chief Judge Holderman is a wonderful spouse. He sits back, he smiles, and he's very attentive.
You know, that is interesting that we do have a professional life together, and a lot of couples have very separate lives, but our lives are really very much intertwined. And we go to a lot of events together, and I would venture to say I am there for him, and he certainly is there for me.
Those that only know him from court would be surprised at how easygoing a guy he is, how fun-loving, happy, laughing, just a very enjoyable guy to be around.
If you go to dinner with him, you will end up with stomach cramps from laughing. I think as friendly and affable as he is on the bench and everywhere else, you really have to be with him in a smaller setting to realize almost everything he says has a humorous undertone to it.
He's remarkably charming. That is, my wife finds him so. And she, oddly, she likes the way he smells. His cologne is quite effective, apparently.
I don't know of any judge that can say, as Jim Holderman can, that in every case he's ever handled, he's absolutely been completely fair and impartial to all parties, absolutely committed to principles of justice, and I believe he's second to none in that regard, and I believe he should be very proud of that as a result of his many, many years on the bench.
The way that he treats his staff and his family and his friends, and even people that he doesn't know that well, he is really just an example of what it is to be a valuable member of our society.
He wants to give back and has an awful lot to give, and I admire that tremendously in him.
He's the type of person who will kind of pull you in and kind of nurture you and help you along the way.
To be really, really candid, he puts all of his efforts into being chief judge, and before that being judge. He teaches a lot, so I guess that would be a passion of his, is the teaching. He has taught at a number of law schools and continues to teach both at the University of Illinois College of Law as well as the John Marshall Law School. So that's certainly a passion of his, and it's something that we have done together. I'm so sorry that I'm not there in person with you tonight as IPLAC honors and pays tribute to my husband, Chief Judge James Holderman. And I would say, unfortunately, I'm not there, but in fact, I am, as you are hearing my remarks this evening, I am probably on a lovely terrace in Sonoma Valley having a glass of wine, looking out over the vineyards. And so you'll excuse me if I'm not that sorry that I'm not there with you. It's too bad that all of you couldn't have been with me out in Sonoma Valley. Many thanks to Janet Pioli for putting together this video.
I am very happy for you, and I'm very proud to be your friend and to be your colleague. You're a good man, and enjoy this.
You and Paula are a great part of our lives, and we love you, we're very proud of you, and we're so happy that we have time together.
Jim Holderman, you're a national treasure, you're a model judge, you're a best friend to all your friends. Just keep being you.
Thank you for the opportunity that you've given me, for how much you've helped me advance my career and myself as a person. For that, I'm forever grateful.
You and Paula Holderman are like two of the best people around.
I look forward to being able to admire your activities on the bench for many years to come, and even some of your activities on the golf course.
You deserve all of the praise that's being heaped upon you We cherish our friendship with you and Paula. You are our dearest friends. We relish every moment we have together with you. We wish you much continued success.
You know, we wish him Godspeed.
We're known as the trial lawyer city here in Chicago, and to have the privilege of having a trial judge as talented and dedicated as you are, for we as trial lawyers to come before, to practice before, and try cases before, it is truly a great privilege to have the chance to do that in front of you.
You make us proud of our court in Chicago, and you have been a stellar representative of that court for the many years that you have been chief. Congratulations.
I want to thank IPLAC, and I want to thank my husband for being the incredible chief judge, lawyer, father, and of course husband that he is. Love you, hon. Thanks. Good night.